Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 56 of the What the Sheep podcast, where Alana and myself will be discussing and breaking down Exandria Unlimited, episode 7. We are on the second to last episode, the final one, premiering tomorrow. So let's see if we can get all of our predictions and theories on the table, and we'll see how everything pans out. Maybe we'll be right. I mean, not maybe, we will be right.
100%.
So we've never been wrong.
Definitely. Jeez.
But anyways, starting off towards the beginning of this episode, we got a lot of Observer action this episode. We got a lot of scenes with the Observer, maybe some information, and maybe enough to speculate on what this Observer is and what their deal is. But I think one of the things we can maybe soft confirm is that the Observer was the source of Fura Rai's gift that she had, where she was able to see which path they should go on. It feels like that was definitely strongly connected with the Observer.
Yeah, and because it's often a few things came up this episode about the Observer, especially I think in her conversation with Dariax, saying, and also in her conversation with Aurum, talking about
there are a lot of scenes,
paths to take and which way they should be moving forward or if they should be returning, things like that. Which I think plays nicely into Dariax's theme, which we still don't know too much about Dariax in terms of his divine soul sorcererness and the fact that his holy symbol is a compass, which I think is just kind of that metaphor for him going where the wind takes him.
That is really cool.
But, which is ironic because it's kind of directionless. Yet he has a compass.
I wonder, I can't remember if we've talked about this, but it kind of reminds me of Jack Sparrow's compass, where it just points to whatever you desire most, and that's kind of what guides him.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. Because he kind of just does what he wants or what he feels is the most important at the time. So it's interesting. I think this whole idea of these boons and these gifts from this creature, because now we see that Dariax has a gift, but we didn't figure out what it was, did we? He didn't quite get there.
No. I mean, did we though? Because he felt like a tingling on his back.
Yeah.
And then in the fight, not to skip ahead, in the fight later on, he grew wings. So I don't know if that was it, or if that... could have been.
Because everyone was getting gifts, so it was like...
And I guess it makes sense because he's divine soul, angelic wings. I guess that's pretty divine.
The Tabaxi had wings and stuff. The Observer.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Oh, so is the Observer the source of Dariax's power? Because when they first arrived in Nirdalpak, there was a lot of imagery and colors that matched that of Dariax and his compass and the sort of magic that he brings into the world. So it would be interesting if Dariax is actually pretty connected to...
Well, they're probably all from this place, and this is just time loop madness.
Yep. We're back on that. But what I talked a little bit about before stream is that we did have a few different conversations with the Observer. And it was very interesting that the Observer knows the path that each individual person needs to make for them, what's best for them. And what was interesting is because we know that Dariax is very go with the flow, go where the wind takes him, following his heart and all of that stuff, that works for Dariax, and that's where he is going to succeed, and that's what the Observer was kind of leaning into. But with the scene with Aurum, we know that Aurum received a special seed from one of the elders here, and he's meant to plant it somewhere. And so the interesting thing about the Observer scene with Aurum was that they basically said that there is a time to be blown by the wind and to go where the wind takes you, but then there's also a time to plant your seed and take root. And that's very specific to Aurum, who maybe is, not used to the life of traveling and going with the flow and not having a plan. And we've seen that. It seems like Aurum very much wants to have a set plan, and when they commit to something, he wants it to follow through.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to see if at the end of all of this, Aurum finds a place to plant this seed and maybe find a home with it, or maybe he takes it back to the Arashari and he plants it there. Not really sure, but
Seems so sus planting random seeds. Like,
Oh
it
yeah.
seems like it's got to be like a
Hmm.
quarantine kind of thing. You got to declare that when he returns to Zephyra
Oh yep.
of some
Yep.
foreign seed.
It must go
Um,
through inspection. Yep.
yeah, make sure it's not like an
Tainted. Yeah.
evil seed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do we even trust these Kunira, these people?
I don't know.
They
Yes, I
worship the
guess we do.
moons. They worship the moons, and we know
They
Ruidus
do.
is Tharizdun as well as us.
Yes.
Hashtag we are the moon.
Hashtag we are the moon.
Um. So
I don't know. It is kind of like I feel like obviously we are meant to trust them. They are set up in
yeah.
such a way that they are a trustworthy character or
Yeah.
trustworthy point of reference. But still, it's just like, hey, you never met me. Here's a seed.
Hmm.
It'd be a bit like, cool. Not going in my main garden, just in
Yeah.
case it absolutely spoils
No, it'll just
everything.
go,
Um,
a few miles to the east. We're all planted, where it's totally
yeah,
safe,
exactly.
can be observed from afar. Yeah, it'll be fine over
Yeah.
there.
Ooh, observed from afar.
Oh, aha, observed. I'm
Oh,
seeing a theme here.
yeah.
But another thing during this nighttime, I think all of this took during the night. I think they all had these scenes at night where they each had like different dreams and
Yeah.
stuff. What was concerning was the dream with Fern, where Dark Fern appeared
Ooh.
once again and
Oh,
seems to be
God.
heavily like putting the pressure on Fern. Because we
Yeah.
know that she just brutally eviscerated a man that day in her direwolf form.
Yeah.
And it seems like Dark Fern is trying to tap into that and like, yes, like you want to give into your more savage ways and give into the darkness and stuff.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering if this, and it's kind of been speculated before that this Dark Fern is real and it is within Fern, and it's something that she's been fighting with probably this whole time.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering if, as far as Fern's character goes, if in this final episode, if during like the climactic battle or whatever happens, Dark Fern kind of pokes through again, and Fern is really going to have to defeat it once and for all.
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, you spoke a little bit before stream about this idea of like how those similar themes between what these characters were experiencing every time they spoke to the observer, every time there was kind of a conversation, there was like these themes that connected. That's a strong connection with that particular example with Fern,
Hmm.
this idea that um they're all trying to find some balance like
Yeah,
in their
yeah,
characters. Because majority of them, and we learned this in the first episode, aren't necessarily good characters. They're
yeah.
neutral.
Hmm.
Um, and so you get this kind of balancing act of the choices they're making, and what the temptations they're facing as
Yeah.
well. Um, so yeah, I think Dark Fern's probably one of my favorite aspects
Hmm.
of the entire show, just how she keeps popping up. Um, because yeah, it is that kind of thing. Even though it feels a little bit like the Crown and Lolth's maybe focused in on Dorian, it's
Right.
still like I like it still kind of like testing the waters elsewhere to be like, hey,
Yeah.
just if this doesn't work out, I've got to back up.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I like this idea of kind of balance that Fern's trying to balance. Didn't want to say the same word twice, did it anyway. Um, yeah,
It works though.
because it's a tricky thing of you want to protect your family. You've got this potential of power here. It would be nice if this offer of power wasn't so inherently evil seeming, because it might be an easier choice
Yeah.
then. Because I feel like if you're going to convince someone to turn to the
Well,
dark side, you don't do it with like threatening to kill everyone.
yeah, and
But
I guess from like an outside meta perspective, it does look
oh,
evil, but for Fern,
mm,
didn't Dark Fern say that like with this power you can save them, like you can find them? I think referring to Fern's
yeah,
parents, perhaps. So in Fern's
yeah,
mind, she may not see it as evil, which is also very concerning. Because then if she's
yeah,
threatened in some way, or her friends are threatened in some way, she might actually want to tap into Dark Fern to maybe save her friends, or if she sees a way to save her parents, her family, she might take that route as well. So It's a bit,
I
it's a bit
get that.
concerning.
It's the more the fighting them in the field, where
Yeah,
she's like, "I've
yeah.
killed you before. I'll kill you again."
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
Yep,
yeah,
definitely.
but no, it's cool. I do like it. I do like the I kind of wish these guys could have it easy a bit. They probably should have gotten rid of the crown pretty quickly.
Yeah, probably should have just passed that off to Gilmore, I think.
Seems to be plaguing them a bit.
But yeah, it seems to
Yeah.
be and that could be what it was. Like Lolth was not never, but wasn't purposely planted into this campaign to be a lasting influence. Maybe it was intended for the crown to be passed off to Gilmore and then taken out of the story. But now that it's, been traveling with them this entire time, it's just become an integral part of their journey and may end up not having any lasting impacts or some climactic resolution, because it's kind of hard to have a climactic resolution with a vestige when they're only level 3. Because there's not too many ways that it can be resolved when it's not, either them dying or one of them succumbing to this darkness and then, doing fuck all with whatever. I don't know.
I suppose from as you say, like, because yeah, we do kind of look at it from a bit of a meta standpoint. I suppose a level 3 character with a vestige of divergence, even though it might not necessarily be the most useful item for them at that level, in world canon, I guess that's a really powerful NPC.
Oh yeah.
Because like even level 1 characters are a step above regular
commoners.
people.
Yeah.
So that would be like a mini boss essentially of potential. I don't want any of them to succumb fully. I mean, I do want a little bit of succumbing.
Yeah, I want a little angst, just a little sprinkle of angst.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, like I really like Chippadori. Like he's great, he's chipper and happy. And I don't want that to change. Dark Fern's pretty cool, but also regular Fern's really sweet. So now Dark Aurum would be really cool.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, Liam is the king of angst, so
yeah, that'd be great.
I think he'd be able to pull it off.
Because they all come together with their realization that, oh no, this thing is bad because look what it did to Aurum.
Oh, yep. That's what I want to have happen.
It was bad.
Then we had another. Now I'm leaning more towards, because in the previous couple of What the Shit episodes, we were like, ooh, the Dorian dark side arc. Dorian's gonna succumb to this evil and stuff. But now it's like, now I want him to like succeed and like find redemption and stuff, because of the scene that he had where he was just wandering the town and then sat in front of the Observer statue, where Lolth's voice was peeking into his mind and putting him down, saying he's a failure, he should just give up, he's not needed, he's useless, and all that stuff. I was like, oh, buddy, no, it's not true. And then the Observer helping block out those voices was really nice.
No, it's nice that it is a very role play heavy show. This one, it's so when it's being led a lot by the kind of the world building, I guess you could say, the role play is very like led by the world and the place they're in. So it is nice when those kind of moments happen of random inspiration coming from the world. So yeah, I like the Observer speaking to each of them, and yeah, to Dorian it was cool because whenever Lolth starts speaking, it's just like, oh, this bitch again. Like,
I know. Oh, God.
So it's nice to see him have a little bit of reprise. I don't know, a little bit of reprieve. Reprieve is the word. From Lolth's influence. But he didn't seem to react any particular way to it, I don't think. Did you notice? Like, it wasn't so much like, oh, thank you, I've been trying to get away from her forever. It was kind of just, okay. I think he was equally as distrusting of the Observer as he was of Lolth's voice.
Yeah, all these different voices. Like, who do you even trust at that point?
Yeah, exactly. Why are there all these voices in my head?
Yep, exactly. But what do we think? What do we think? Like the end game for this vestige is, because with only one episode left, and they're heading towards the Iron Authority, and I'm forgetting again, but don't they deal with betrayer gods a little bit? Like they worshipped one or something.
But I feel like, are they actually going to make it there? There's only one episode left. And
I
I
think
feel like
they're close because they made a lot of distance in this episode.
the focus is on what's happening with Murata now, isn't it? Like,
Oh, maybe, yeah.
but that also does feel very Ted Opal focused. But there's the weird stuff with the residuum. There's the weird stuff with the
Mm-hmm.
portals. I'm confused as to how it's going to, like, why they need to go see this tetrarch, because they've
Mm-hmm.
got the translation of the glyph. They kind of know what it's about.
Yeah.
They don't know what it actually means, though, in terms of why this thing happened.
Which is why they want to go to the Tetrarch, because
Right. Okay. Yes.
she
Okay.
might
Yeah.
know
That
more.
makes
Yeah.
sense. That
Because
makes sense.
they're trying to get rid of that plateau that appeared.
Yes, that makes
outside
sense.
Iman.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's been like their main quest, if you will. Their main quest line
Yeah.
was to figure out how to get rid of this plateau and if there's a way to like prevent more from happening. And so they went to Nirdalpak. The Tetrarch there could only give so much information, and that Umeji, who went down south to speak with the Iron Authority to make sure they weren't doing anything too crazy, because Umeji might know more on how to prevent it, stop it, get rid of it, and all that stuff. That's been like their main quest. At least I think. I think that's what it's been.
Yes. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well, the main quest was to, just figure out what its deal was. So they know what the glyph is. They just still don't know why the glyph is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Why? Is
Yeah.
the
So
glyph?
that.
Yeah.
Why is the glyph? Yeah. So it'd be exciting to see some conclusion to that story, to that arc.
Mhm.
Of like, what the fuck is going on with this fire crap?
Yeah.
And like, is it related to Thordak? We don't
Is
know.
Thordak coming back? Thought we killed him.
Yeah, because I think we kind of, not us specifically, but I think it's kind of in this story there is like a heavy focus on the Lolthark and even Melora's influence in this place.
Mhm.
Still thinking about Thordak, baby. Like I still want Thordak.
That'll be the final fight. They have to kill Thordak again.
Oh my god, they're level. What are they level 3?
Level 3. They can do it. They just got to get lucky. They just got to get lucky. That's all it is. And if the boons that they received from this cube stay with them for the remainder of their journeys, I think they got a good shot, and they could do it. Yeah, that'll be
that was a cool cube.
Totally fine. That was a cool cube. But before we get to that, one other small thing that I want to touch on is not only does Dorian seem to be doubting himself through these voices in his head, maybe it's more the voices and Lolth's influence that's causing him to doubt himself, but also Opal has been seeing a lot of doubt, and we know that there's been a lot of Opal focus over the course of this series, as Ted seems to be in some shit. I don't know what Ted's deal is. There's a lot going on there.
That's a common thing of what is Ted's deal.
Yeah. But on this theme of doubt that seems to have taken hold of the group.
Yes.
I think it's a good thing to build up as far as storytelling goes, because then in like the final episode, the climactic battle, perhaps each character will have that opportunity to prove themselves to themselves, to rid themselves of all the doubt that they had over the course of their journey. So I think it's nice to have these scenes where the characters are by themselves, thinking back on all the things they've done, self-reflection, and then being like, oh gosh, like I don't know if I'm capable of this. Like, am I strong enough to do this? Am I going to succeed? It just adds that emotional weight to then the next step of their journey, which is obviously going to be the final episode, and we'll have to see what happens then.
The emotional weight, though, the kind of reflection, it does lead to, well, could be. I know they're obviously producing a show, but it can lead to a problem in D&D campaigns where you do ask like your players and your characters, like, "Why are you here?" And they're like, "Yeah, why am I even here?"
Yeah.
Like, so it was maybe a little bit of a tool that Abria was using to cement for the characters like what their purpose was for the end. The end of the series. So like, giving a reason, putting in stone of why they're still here. Because Orym was I think she asked like, what's Orym doing? And Liam's first thing was like, oh, Orym's wondering why he's here, like, or if he should go back home, sort of thing. So it was a really good way to kind of get it in writing per se. I don't know, but just get it out.
No, that totally makes sense.
This is the purpose. This is what the characters are searching for. This is what they need. Which is then, I know it's like scheduling and things within Charlie, but then it's kind of like, well, why did Fiora Rai leave? Like, I get that she needs to go to her sister, but come on. Just left them in the wind.
Because even in this episode, Opal was like, I think I need to go home. I think I need to leave. Like, why? That's where I need to be.
That's what struck me, because I was just like, oh, how are they going to work around that? But then they, D&D'd it. Because I like those choices that in D&D when characters make those hard choices of like, oh no, I actually am not going to get involved with this. I'm actually going to leave. Like the best example would probably be like Scanlan in campaign 1.
And then we almost had it again with Veth in campaign 2.
Yeah, so it's really exciting because it is always an option for your character to actually just leave.
And I think it's a really cool. I mean, it's obviously sad to see it happen, but I think it's a really cool character choice and indicative to the kind of things that the character went through on their journey. Because when you really put yourselves in your character's shoes, you've been, to hell and back. You've gone through some crazy shit. At the end of it all, especially when you have a family, like in Beth's case, it's like, I cannot keep doing this. I can't reasonably, logically keep doing this.
It's the D&D conundrum as a whole. Like, if you are a person with family and you adventure for a few months, you would have enough money to set yourself for life. So why would you keep adventuring? Why would you keep doing all these things? If not the only reason being for the greater good or to help people. But no, I really liked it when Opal said, I think I should go home, because it shows that kind of, I guess, character growth of her realizing things aren't the way she thought they were. But because you look at her from the first episode and she's very nonchalant, she's very aloof, I guess, with her attitudes to just everything and how she approaches everything. And now she takes things quite seriously, and it's probably just because she's being threatened personally, maybe. But
it's a bit more personal now.
It's very, and it'd be frustrating too. Like, I think the situation with Ted and the situation with this woman in purple, Murata, is very frustrating because it's like, what the fuck do you want with me, sort of thing. Like, screw this, I'm going home kind of attitude, which I know is not her reasoning for going home, but it is a bit like that of, like, this isn't what I thought it would be. Like, I'm going where I know it's safe, and so it was a good characterization, I thought.
Oh, I definitely agree, and I think we had kind of speculated, what is Ted's deal? What is the connection with Murata? And we'd kind of theorized about it in previous episodes, where maybe Ted was a part of some group, this group that Murata is a part of, but something went down where they got into the thick of things, or something happened where Ted had to jump ship and like astral project her soul into Opal or something like that. Because it seems like, not to jump ahead, but towards the end, in the end of this episode, how it basically ended was with Murata trying to speak directly to Ted, being like, I am going to free you from this random girl, obviously not even knowing or caring who Opal actually is. So it definitely seems there's some deeper connection there between Ted and Murata, perhaps a friendship, or I don't know, like, because Ted is the source of her power, right?
Yes.
But is it actually just Ted that is the power? Like, Opal isn't even like capable of magic. It's Ted who is the warlock, maybe.
Right. I see what you're saying. It could be, but also we've got, like, whenever because Ted was quiet this episode. Ted was sort
Mhm.
of dormant, and that was, we think, because of the whatever happened at the end of the last episode where Ted was assaulted by Murata
Mhm.
somehow by this mind split, by this mind spike, or whatever it was called. And but Opal was then still able to access her magic
Mhm.
this episode, despite not having a verbal connection to Ted. So yeah, it's interesting to think: is the power from Ted? Is Ted the power?
Mhm.
Which I like the idea of Ted being almost like a sorcerer or something, like this
Yeah.
font of magic that Opal is kind of pulling from.
Yeah.
And us not really knowing why. A sorcerer would be a really good explanation, like a wild magic sorcerer or something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be a really good explanation.
Yeah, and perhaps she rolled pretty poorly on that wild magic table and got shunted into
Yeah,
her
that's
sister.
the real messy table of yeah. Yeah.
Oh no.
Um,
But I definitely I think I'm gonna stick with that theory of Ted. Ted is the warlock or the sorcerer, and something happened when Ted was with Murata and that whole gang where Ted had to
Yeah.
project herself into Opal, and now Murata is attempting to save her, but
and
doesn't want to be
Murata
saved.
could be a part of the Nameless Ones, maybe. Like she said she was
Could
from
be.
Singhorn, but
Hmm.
fuck, I could have been lying. Like we don't know.
Yeah. But
Because
I wonder what
Posca's still out there.
Posca's up to.
Yeah.
What's Posca been doing?
Because Posca's focus is on the crown, right? Posca wants the crown.
Yes. Or I don't
But
even know if
Posca also
it's
seems
it's probably the crown, but I think it's more of like the principle of she got stolen from.
she got stolen from, yeah.
Yeah, but
I
also
like that.
probably the crown.
Yeah, because it's you think of Posca and it's like I think it'll be really funny if she turns up in these jungles because she seemed to be like, head of an organization in
Yeah.
Amon that's anti-gentrification and anti-establishment. And she's like, fuck it, I'm going to the deep south, like to take
Yeah.
care of these people.
But like how I will be very confused if Posca is able to shows up in this last episode, because how would she be able to track them? How would she know where they're going? And I guess maybe she has like scrying capabilities. Maybe I can't remember if she had done magic.
That is that aside, I think it'd just be weird if she's there because it's like she's completely abandoned him on.
Oh yeah.
Unless it's something bigger than we realize. Unless Posca is a part of Murata's crew and the Nameless Ones are actually some kind of Vecna cult or something. I don't know.
Oh, like the remnants. Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. But so now we can talk about the cube because I just wanted to talk about that little Opal Ted stuff. Holy moly, that map! That map was cool.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I loved the.
There's so many like little extra layers. I love the reveal, like the pullback. You're like, oh damn, that's a really cool map.
Mm-hmm.
And the cube, you're like, whoa, that's massive. And
then there were lights. There were lights inside. And it was glowing.
Smoke. There was like dry ice going on. Like, that was and magnets. It was all magnetic.
Oh my god, that was one of the coolest maps, easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
And it took me a second too when I was watching it. When she's like, I think it was it Opal and Darix got stuck to it first.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, she put them on. She was saying something about magnets. It's like, oh, what's going on? And they're so tiny. Like that was a big cube.
Oh yeah.
It took me a while, to like actually see the minis on the battle map.
Yeah, it was a chunky boy.
That was very cool. Yeah. I'd love to know where they got. I'm sure they might have posted about like who made that and all that sort of stuff.
That was so freaking cool. But okay, this cube. Okay. I got a lot of questions about this cube.
All right.
And I think a lot of other people do. So obviously it has a weird gravitational pull to it, as well as weird timey-wimey stuff. It seems like.
Gravity and time, very Dunamantic.
Yeah, very, very Dunamantic. And it is in a a cuboid shape. It's a D6. It's almost a dodecahedron. Almost, it's half of one. It's half.
Yeah, just a little bit off. Missing a
Yeah,
couple sides.
it's a handful, but it's almost there. But so we have all of the sides and what they meant, and in the order that they were. So we have the universe above, the universe within. Remember what came before. Decide what comes next. Provide for all, a shield to protect. I was trying to think of like, does each phrase correlate to a specific character in the party?
Yeah.
Or is it just like in a general sense, like all of them can find wisdom within what these words are? Like all of these words can help guide them on whatever path they're on.
I thought there was going to be some kind of clue in unlocking the cube and like opening it up, but it kind of just fell apart, didn't it?
It fell apart, and it seemed like its magic began to flow out from it.
Yeah, which is typical of this party to this massive cube that's been in this forest for who knows how long, to instantly break it the second they step on it. But yeah, no, I think it's kind of more just a what's the word? It's not a metaphor. It's just a indication, I guess, of the campaign as a whole, because it's bringing in that time aspect again that we've talked about. It's talking about the universe above, the universe below. I think because of the sigils around, how they were very like pre gods.
Oh yeah.
Even to the point where I think they were described as like before they were even betrayer and prime deities. This is like them at their base kind of level, which is interesting. Of what the material, like, is this place even from the material plane?
Oh,
is this from something else? But yeah, universe above, universe below could mean like the celestial planes and the lower planes.
Yeah.
It could be like upper lower planes. It could be the calamity, like what happened before, what is soon to happen. Oh, can you read it again?
Yeah. So we have
in front of me.
The universe above, the universe within. Remember what came before. Decide what comes next. Provide for all, a shield to protect.
Right. I'm still on the planar fuckery happening train.
It could also just be like a 10 Commandments kind of deal, where this was perhaps given to them by whatever gods ruled in that time, and they're like, here's the words to live by when the time comes.
And the people are just like, what the fuck does this mean?
Yeah. What are these symbols?
Yeah.
But it could, continuing on with this whole cube deal, what if this is some Luxon shenanigans? Because one of the cool abilities that came out of this, Fern was able to basically choose different timelines and stuff of things happening with that reroll she got. A mote of possibility with all the different strings, like the web of timelines that could happen. She could just pluck one to have happen. That is very Luxon-y.
Yeah.
Very much so.
But yeah, it's that kind of Dunamantic influence once again. Because what were the other abilities? We had Darius with wings.
Yes.
What do you think that is?
So Darius had wings. Dorian was able to control gravity, so there's that graviturgy sort of deal that comes with Dunamancy. And same with Darius, he was able to choose heavy or light for his weapon. That's also some gravity shenanigans. Opal got a pool of healing, kind of like a paladin's lay on hands that she was able to use.
So that's kind of divine. Maybe.
Yeah, that's more. That's divine. And then I believe. Oh, and then Orem, I think, was just able to get an extra battle master maneuver.
Right, and so that was kind of like, how was that described? I can't remember that one specifically.
I think there's just like a moat that sort of went into him.
Yeah,
and it, like, fueled him
of
with
light flutters gently to him, landing on him.
Yeah.
It says time stretches like a ribbon, like a road.
Oh, so maybe it was like he
Smoke
was
the
jumping
shuriken
to the
temple.
future when he did learn a new maneuver, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Could've
Oh,
been.
he gets a whole new maneuver. It wasn't even just he gets an extra superiority die. It was he gets a
Yeah.
whole new maneuver.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that could be like a I like that. Yeah, like looking ahead kind of thing. It
Mhm.
says because the description, yeah, was like a path, a
Yeah.
road in front of. So that is that what comes next aspect.
Yeah.
That's clever. I like it.
That is really cool. And then, yeah, obviously Fern had the reroll power, which was
Yeah.
definitely very interesting and what really I was already suspicious of Lux and shenanigans happening here, but then when Fern got
Yeah.
that ability, I was like, okay, there has to be some crazy Dunamancy stuff that's happening here. And because this is so ancient, like it really could be like a relic of the Luxon itself, or whatever that whole deal is. Because as we as we started off with this conversation, this is like pre calamity, pre gods, pre like everything.
Yeah.
So how far
Pre.
back does the
Oh,
Luxon
yeah,
go?
well, yeah, the Luxon was like really early. The Luxon
Yeah.
was the one of the earliest, or supposedly, at least in
Yeah.
lore, it's the earliest thing to have happened or
Yeah.
existed. So I like that. But it's funny because we haven't had any other aspect of Dunamancy or Luxon or like even Drow or Kryn influence.
I mean, I mean, Lolth is kind of Drow
Oh
adjacent,
yeah,
kind of.
yeah, it could be.
That could be.
I like it though. It's an interesting inclusion. I like this idea of addressing the betrayer gods and the prime deities before they're kind of teaming up, maybe because
Yeah.
it seemed like this was sigils and inscriptions of them before they were grouped together, when they were just like individual gods, or even before they were gods. It could have just been with our ideas.
Yeah.
Which brings into kind of like all kinds of questions of the world creation and
Yeah, a lot of philosophical
gods,
conversations
where
to
the
be
gods
had.
come from, that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Oh god, that's a whole
Because the
can of
only things we
worms.
saw were like things of Lolth, of was there any other gods specifically named of sigils seen for them?
I don't think so, but there were just a lot of different god images with on here. So I guess it can't be
So maybe
that
it
old
wasn't.
then. Well, I mean, it's still very
Sorry.
old, but it still has to be around the time where these gods existed.
Yeah, maybe we're thinking too deep into.
Yeah.
Maybe it was less pre everything, and it was more just a simple understanding of the gods.
Yeah.
Whatever created this or whoever created this, it was a.
Which is interesting because whoever created this obviously saw the gods, both good and betrayer gods, as just one sort of unit, I guess. What was I thinking? Like an ecosystem, I guess maybe.
Yeah.
Where they all had their roles to play, and they shouldn't be separate. They were seen as together, all a part of this cube.
Yeah, it could be people from the Iron Authority. It could be like the bugbears and the hobgoblins from down there. Maybe this is their temple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be. But this was I think this location was called Neardal Sarket. Because that's where
sounds connected to Nidok Pal, right?
Yeah, Neardal Park, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably still connected with this Kunira people.
Yeah.
This is just a long abandoned area.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was too enchanted by
the big old cube.
By the big old cube and stuff to really think about anything else. Oh, but then and this is when Dariax did get his wings. That could be the gift from the Observer, unlocking his divine soul power.
Because then it's the question is, did everyone get their gifts from the Observer? Did the rest get their gifts from the cube?
Yeah.
If so, why didn't Dariax get something from the cube?
Like, well, Dariax got the ability to do heavy or light with his weapon, like
Oh, that's
double the
right.
damage
That's
or
right.
attack
Of course.
twice. Yeah.
I'm an idiot. I'm an
Yeah.
idiot. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool then. Yeah. So I think that is pretty substantial then that it comes from the Observer.
Yeah.
Man,
The
I'm an
wings
idiot.
definitely came from the Observer.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, which I believe soft confirms that Dariax is connected to the Observer.
Yeah.
In some way, which is cool. Which is cool. At least we have a solid connection there. We have a solid connection with Mirada and Ted. Lolth's still not fully understanding why Lolth is here, other than by pure coincidence finding it within that ship at the beginning of the series.
What if Ted is Lolth?
There it is.
There it is. There it is. Hashtag Ted is Lolth.
You heard it here first, everyone. You heard it here first. And as you know, full well, we are never wrong. We've never been wrong once. So, no. Sorry to spoil it for everyone. We took a peek at the script.
This is the kind of hard hitting insider knowledge you get through the What the Sheet podcast.
We bring you the hard facts. We don't dwell. We don't deal in mystery and uncertainty. We bring you the cold hard facts, the tough truth, curated just for you all.
We are the moon.
Yep. We are the moon. We are Ted is Lolth and hashtag Vandrin barbecue.
Oh.
Yep.
Vandrin built the cube. Okay.
I would have kept going with that one, but okay. So back on track. So tomorrow is the last episode of the series, and it seems like because in the end of this episode, Opal is weakened by these residuum spikes that were shot out by Mirada, and Mirada is hoping to. I don't know. But Mirada is hoping to separate Ted from Opal. Mirada doesn't even know or care who this Opal is. Right? She's only concerned about Ted. And specifically said, together, we're going to change the world. So that also clues us in on a past relationship between Ted and Opal.
Yeah. And we know that Ted and Opal come from Byrodin, which was a place destroyed by Thordak. We know that Singhorn had fuckery with Thordak.
What if, this is just galaxy brain level stuff here, okay?
Do it.
What if, because we know Mirada has magic, okay?
Yes.
Just follow me here. Follow me on what I'm about to say.
I'm with you. I'm bored. 100%.
Everyone follow me. Right. Okay. Okay. So, Ted is the warlock or the sorcerer or whatever. Yes. But what if there's like a Molly, a Tomb Taker situation, a Molly situation, where Ted ran with Mirada and stuff, and the group that they were with saw Ted as this like very powerful figure, this almost godlike entity, because they had these powers granted by whatever warlock patron they had. And so they treated her as just like a powerful individual and, all that fun stuff. Whatever happened caused Ted to be shunted or teleported within Opal, and Mirada thinks it's like her holy mission to save her leader or her patron, thinking that Ted is like their patron who grants them power and stuff. And maybe Mirada's belief in Ted is strong enough to where then Mirada got the abilities of a cleric, maybe? That's how she has her powers? I don't know. But she views Ted as like a very powerful entity, and that's her mission to save Ted from this prison that she's trapped in. Maybe.
Yeah.
Just gotta throw a maybe in there at the end. I don't have my pen.
No, I think I'm not confused. I want to know more of what Murata is doing, obviously. But
Yeah.
when it was things like the residuum spikes, I was just like, in my head, I was like, wouldn't that just supercharge Opal? Like, we know what
Yeah.
putting residuum into people has done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or is it?
Hmm.
It could be different residuum. It could be like a way to, because it did kind of tether Opal. Like she kind of slammed
Yeah.
it into the ground, and it kind of slammed Opal into the ground. So I like this idea of Murata wants Ted, whether it is as this kind of revered figure or because Ted is just this source of power. Like Ted
Yeah.
is this
Mm-hmm.
um
A tool to be
magical.
used for her own
Yeah.
machinations. Yeah.
I wanna know, like, is Murata actually from Singhorn? Like, this seems like some evil shit.
Probably
What are you
not. I
doing?
think when
Yeah.
they had first met, they used
Yeah.
Singorn to try to like bring them to wherever their camp was, so they could just ambush
Yeah.
them, do whatever they wanted with them.
But didn't we also see in one of the stingers or something Murata bloodied and beaten up and injured?
Yes. Yes, we did. What was that about?
What was that about?
So did did the real Murata like
That's what I
die?
was just
And
thinking.
then
Is
this
this
other
like a possessed Murata, or like
Dark Murata?
a changeling maybe, or something like that? Like,
Maybe. Huh. I mean,
because I feel like we're gonna get it's gonna be Murata being like, I have you now, and like pulls off a mask. And
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Posca, yeah.
Posca.
Oh my god.
Or something like that.
It could be. It could be. I mean, like, we don't have to wait any longer. Tomorrow's the last episode.
Yeah,
I wonder if it's gonna be like a 7 hour
Oh my
finale, like
Oh my
for campaign 2. I don't
Wow.
because there's so many different. It feels like there's so many different threads that need to be wrapped up. But perhaps there really only is like one or two. Like, so for me, what I want to be wrapped up by the end of the episode tomorrow is the Ted Murata stuff and the stuff with Lolth. I don't really care about the whole fire elemental stuff. I mean, the Thordak lore and stuff is pretty cool, but for me, I'm more interested in Lolth's influence and what the heck Murata wants with Ted and Ted's whole deal.
Yeah.
So for me, as long as those two things are resolved or answered in some way, I'll probably be satisfied.
I'm the same. Yeah, I think the driving force is the fire elemental stuff and the plateau and what that does. But I agree. I kind of want those two things to be answered more than anything else.
It's that story trope where it's like, yeah, the main quest, their main destination is figuring out how to resolve this fire elemental stuff, but it's the journey to reaching that solution is what's most important.
Yeah.
Which definitely feels like that's the case for this series at least. But what do we think? What do we think as far as these characters and how their potential little story arcs for this series are going to wrap up? If even they may not even be wrapped up because we may get more Exandria Unlimited during breaks in the future. So this may not be the last time we see these characters.
Well, I think that's kind of the plan, isn't it? I think the Exandria Unlimited is going to kind of sit as their go-to show for when they need to fill in the gaps a little bit.
Yeah.
But the idea I got was there's going to be other GMs and other players. Like, it's going to be just stories from Exandria. So I don't know if we'll see this same group again. And in fact, like, I think it would be a bit of a shame if we did see them over another group. Because I really like the idea of having this open world where they could do multiple streams with it. So I think it would be a bit of like let's see something new and different. But that being said, I don't know, because these characters, like, we still don't know. They still don't have their memories of the week they're missing, except for Dorian. But we still don't even know what those memories are specifically. We've got a vague idea of what they are. So they could get their memories back and realize they hate each other, or like they could get their memories back and be like, oh, well, this is not where we're meant to be, and just split up. I don't see this group sticking together. not because of any kind of falling out, but because of them going literally their own ways. Like, I think we'll see Orym return to the Air Show. I think we'll see Dariax and maybe Dorian stick together, but Fern will go off and do her own thing. I think Opal will return home. I think that's the kind of future I see for this group, like them disbanding as a party.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I
don't see much reason for them to stay together.
Right.
They kind of stuck together out of necessity for when they were being hunted in Imon. And then, this kind of feeling of wanting to see the end of the quest. But yeah, I can't see a future of them sticking together unless there is some other element that we don't know about of what binds them. Yeah, but that's what I see happening.
Yeah, no, I agree with basically all of that. I definitely agree that I think Dorian and Dariax will go off on their own. Perhaps, maybe, depending on what happens, Dorian might want to seek redemption from his family, since I believe he was exiled. So depending on what happens, and Dariax would be his support for that. Orym wanting to go off and find a special place for this seed to plant and take her and stuff. That could be his sort of after stream path that he takes. Obviously, Opal going home, and it's heavily dependent on what happens with Ted and all of that shenanigans. And the same with Lolth with Dorian. A lot of their story arcs ride on how they deal with those threats. Now, obviously, it could just be as simple as, okay, we just got to defeat Mirada, and boom, we're safe. Unless, in this final confrontation with Mirada reveals, like, the backstory of Ted and what's been going on with all that stuff. I can see that happening. Because otherwise, the entire party's gonna be like, what the heck? Why do you want Ted so much? Like, what's the deal with Ted? Like, they're definitely going to ask that. At least Opal will. Like, why the heck do you want Ted so much?
Yeah.
So there will be some explanations there, which I'm really excited for. So if things go well, and Mirada's defeated, and maybe Ted is separated from Opal, but like in like a good way, not in like a malicious way or anything like that, then I could see them returning back to Byrodin, where they live out their days or whatever, or they decide to go out venturing again. And then Fern, again, depending on what she does with Dark Fern, if that even plays a role in this final episode, it could just be her completely removing the thought of using the circlet from her mind and truly locking away Dark Fern and protecting her friends.
And there's also weird Feywild stuff happening with Fern, like the whole kind of the war queen of the Sealy Court and things with her grandmother. Like, this is all coming from Dark Fern to begin with, but it's like, why was Fern sent to this material plane? Like, is she going to return to the Feywild? Is she going to continue her gap year sort of thing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But yeah, I could definitely see her post-stream maybe going back to the Feywild to sort things out. Maybe fight this Dark Fern on her own, or meet this High War Queen head on, maybe try to find her parents.
Yeah. I think overall, I think it makes more sense for this party to split up at the end. And kind of feel like it might be a bit... Well, we'll see. I don't want to say it's going to be forced if they don't.
Yeah.
It might happen naturally, them sticking together, but the way I see it is, that probably makes more sense for them to split up after the events. But we'll see. See what happens.
And I mean, who knows? Since this series is Exandria Unlimited, is pretty much just little like vignettes of different stories. Yeah. It could end in a TPK. It could end with all them dying. There could be something that goes down where they can't handle it. Now, I don't think that would happen. I don't think Abria is that kind of a DM where she wanted to end, or not wanted to end in a TPK, but not let it end in a TPK, if that makes sense. I think she wants to see these characters through to the end and have all of their stories feel satisfied and reach a satisfying end. But that's, I mean, thinking back on it now, there's been a lot of like different confusing things that have happened. There's a lot. it's been hard to follow different points. There's a lot being thrown at us, but thinking about it now, I feel like we have a pretty decent grasp on how we think these characters' stories might end. So it might actually not have really been all of that chaotic.
I think it was more just as the story was being told, there was a lot of information that we weren't privy to. So it meant that there was a lot of, which makes sense for the way life works. But in terms of storytelling, it can be a bit disjointed and a bit like,
for sure.
Yeah, what is actually happening? Kind of aspects of the plot. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see an actual a conclusion to these arcs into the story. I'm excited, and then excited to see what happens next. If there's any kind of announcement, or if we get some more one shots after this, I'm kind of keen for some more one.
Yeah, I know. Pretty soon there's going to be a new State of the Role, because they had mentioned back in when they had the previous State of the Role that they're going to have an announcement at the end of the summer. So I'm guessing maybe either tomorrow, after the episode airs, they might have the announcement, or like the following Thursday they might do.
Following week, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes set that up as like a big release, yeah.
Yeah, they'll probably do that. What do we think that big announcement is going to be? Obviously the biggest one is Campaign 3.
Yeah, I think it'll be at least an indication of when Campaign 3 will start. So what are we? We're in August.
I know a lot of people have been speculating like mid-September or like October. Mid to late September, early October.
Yeah, I reckon. Well, here's the thing: that it's going to be a question of if they want to have a Halloween episode or not.
True, very true.
Because if they do it like November, then they'll miss the Halloween. But then November, that's when you guys have a lot of holidays, isn't it? You have like Thanksgiving. And
there's a lot of holidays in there.
Christmas. Yeah.
So there would be probably a lot of breaks.
Yeah, so October could be good because that gives you time to find the feed of the campaign, then have a break, then come back in January for like a full stint. So yeah, I think it could be that. I think we might get. So if that's let's spitball October. Then that gives us like a month and a half.
Yeah, about a month and a half.
For one shots and things like that.
Yeah, we still have Ashley's one shot from the Kickstarter.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah,
that'd be really, really, really fun to see.
But yeah, no.
I hope the announcement also includes that they'll be back to their live games and they'll be back at the table, because they were back at the table when they played that Ukatoa game.
Yeah,
so obviously they're able to do it again.
I don't know how it's looking in Los Angeles at the moment, but hopefully.
Yeah, that's also true. That is also true.
Or at the very least, like I didn't mind it being pre-recorded.
No, I didn't either, and I think it may actually be easier. It might have been easier for them to have it be pre-recorded and stuff, because then they could give plenty of time when they are going on break, because they were a few episodes ahead and they could plan things out a bit better. But there was something special about it being live, because we were all witnessing it together. At the same time as it was happening.
Yeah.
But I totally don't mind if they continue doing it pre-recorded, but it would be nice to at least be at the table again.
Yeah, definitely. And then they might actually is C2E2 coming up as well?
Yes, there's C2E2 in December, and let's not forget there's also the animated series.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as
Legend of Vox Machina. That could also be like a release date, potentially, or like a trailer or something.
Video today of
the origin stories, I think it's called.
The Legends of the whatever it's called. Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I could definitely see a release date for Legends of Vox Machina. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah. So I think there's a few things I could talk about in the State of the Role. Which should be exciting. Yeah,
definitely really exciting about that. Now, before we wrap up today's episode, did we want to talk about the Campaign 3 survey thing?
Oh yeah.
The little thingy thing? You wanna give your spiel on that? We got something exciting for y'all.
I completely forgot about it, and I don't have a spiel. Oh god. Yeah, so we're going to be on the lead up to campaign 3, and obviously we're probably going to have some episodes where we do some prediction videos and things like that. But we thought it'd be kind of a fun thing to do to involve the community to have a bit of a guessing competition. So what we've got is a survey where you can go in and select what you think each of the actors' class and characters might be for campaign 3. Yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And you get points.
So
you get points on how many you got correct.
Yes, you've got to. So if you guess race and class, you'll get 1 point for each of those correct guesses. And keep in mind, like, there's a lot of different races in D&D.
Oh yeah.
They might even do like the I can't remember what it's called, but I think the background thing. If they do that, then the survey's kind of moot. We'll just cancel it. But yeah, so you can select race, you can select class. We've also added a subclass option. The only thing with the subclass option is you'll only get a point if we know everyone's subclass at the start, because otherwise it's not really fair to award points for that.
Yeah.
But it's all pretty well laid out on the surveys. We have a Discord version and a Twitter version. So we'll be posting them today in a little bit, maybe not straight after this episode, but in a little bit we'll be posting them. So if you are on the Nicobot Soul Discord, you can attempt it through the Discord survey. That's kind of like for the community one there. But we're also going to be putting one out on Twitter for pretty much anyone to join in on. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I think there's a lot to choose from, so I'll be really impressed if people guess.
I already know what I'm going to fill out mine. They're all going to play elf monks, so
that's pretty cool. I've lent it out to a few people just to test, just so I can check like how the results look. And I think out of maybe the 5 people I've lent it out to, the prevailing opinion is that Liam's going to be an elf cleric. That was like a 40% like connection between all the answers. Was that?
Yeah, it'll be cool to see like the analytics at the end.
Yeah,
After everyone's filled it out and stuff. That's super.
So it's really fun. So we're going to try and get it out today. The only reason we're getting it out so early, even before Campaign 3 announcement, is if they do release any promo stuff for Campaign 3, if there's any like silhouettes or even any kind of hint of what a character might be, we're gonna close it down.
Yep. Yeah. As soon as like promo character art or like silhouettes are released, that is the day that the survey is closed, just to not give people unfair advantages that hadn't filled it out yet.
Yeah, and it's just a bit of fun. So keep an eye out for that on the Discord and on the What the Sheet Twitter. Gonna be good.
Yeah, that's about it. Is there any other final thoughts, feelings, concerns about episode 7 leading into episode 8? I'm just excited because I know we are finally going to get some answers in this next episode. Figuring out what Mirada's deal with Ted is. I am very interested in Ted's whole deal, as well as hopefully getting a satisfying resolution to the Lolth and Vested stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same, and I think it's going to be one and the same because we know that Ted is Lolth. So
yes, that's right. You heard it here first. Hashtag We Are the Moon. Hashtag Ted is Lolth, and we only have 1 day left to find out. And so, I guess with all that being said, we can call this one a wrap. So as always, thank you all so much for joining us in this discussion. Everyone who participated and hung out with us, chatted, lurked, whatever you did live, thank you for being here. Whoever was going to be watching this on YouTube when it get uploaded, or on Spotify or Anchor or wherever else this podcast may find itself, thank you all so much for being here and putting up with our shenanigans and totally accurate theories that definitely always come true. So,
100%.
Thank you all. This Exandria Unlimited has been a pretty interesting journey. I've definitely fallen in love with a lot of these characters. Yeah. And an exciting, bittersweet thing about this is, yes, it'll be sad to see these characters go, but it also means that Critical Role Campaign 3 is that much closer to happening. So I'm definitely super excited for that and everything that entails. But for now,
I miss the rest of the cast so much.
Yeah, I know. All of them together.
I forget about it until like I'll see an Instagram post or a post on Twitter. It's like, Travis up to? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing right now?
Yeah, I wonder how Ronan's doing. Yep.
Yeah.
I totally agree. But anyways, as always, don't forget to love each other, but most importantly, don't forget to love yourself. That is the most important thing you can do. So make sure you're taking care of yourself, drink some water, eat some food, get plenty of rest. You deserve it, and I'm proud of you for being here. So, hope you all have an absolutely wonderful rest of your morning, day, evening, wherever you may be on this glorious earth. And we'll see you all very soon. Bye, everyone.